why behind the hourly round, okay? As you know, we all want to know why we are asked to do things. It's a lot more palatable when we understand the why behind it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that so that you can use this as a leader when you are validating your staff, right? Because they're going to ask you a lot of questions, and if they don't understand the why, they're probably not going to be consistent with the work, okay? So why hourly rounds connecting our purpose to practice? Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want you to watch this video. It's only 3.5 minutes, and I'm going to talk really fast because I went too long apparently the first time. Oh, am I doing this right? Yes, there we go. Perfect. But this is important.
How do I know? And a lot of times when people hear the phrase, how do I know, the next thing they say is what? How do I know what?
Anybody see this video ever?
The key really isn't to know what. The key is to know why. Because when you know your why, you have options on what your what can be. For instance, my why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. My what is stand-up comedy. My what is writing books. My what can be going out with some friends to eat. In fact, another what that is moving me towards my why is a web series that we have out now called Break Time. So every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, you should subscribe to the channel. We do a series called Break Time on YouTube. So 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode. One episode in particular, I'm about to show you a clip to. We were in Winston-Salem. So Break Time, this is how it works. I travel the country, I do stand-up comedy, probably an hour and a half at an event. And in the middle of my show, I'll just sit down and start talking to the audience. And funny just happens. Or I'll meet somebody who's really interesting. So I met this one guy, and he said that he teaches music at a school. I was like, all right, you teach music, can you sing? And then I'm just gonna show you the clip. Check it. So you're a musical director?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace,
So we're going to think about church.
how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing. You know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Right now I'm fine, was blind, but now I see.
Here's the thing. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time I asked him to sing, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what has more impact because you're walking in or towards your purpose.
All right, so we're going to talk about the why.
Leadership is
We're
not a
gonna try
rank.
to.
Leadership is not a position. Leadership is a decision. Leadership is
My
a
fingers
choice.
aren't working.
It has nothing to do with your position in the organization. If you decide to look after the person
Is
to
there a
the left
mouse?
of you and look after the person to the right of you, you have become a leader. Sometimes you're the problem.
All right, so that's a really important video because it kind of sets the tone, right? There's your what, so what's your what? Your what is your job, right? You come in, you have your staffing, your schedule, you all your what? Like you look at your overtime, you look at all of your data, you do your rounds, okay? That's your what, that's your job. The why is what gets you up every morning to come in here. And that's yours personally, your personal why, okay? So when our nurses, when we talk about hourly rounding, right? The task of every hour during the day, every 2 at night, that's the what. Paying, potty, position, possession, that's the what. That's what they're supposed to do. The why is what we're gonna talk about, right? All right, so let's talk about the why behind all of that. So my why and what I use as a professional nurse, I've been a nurse for 35 years, is I use a theory called Jean Watson's Human Caring Theory. Anybody ever hear of that? All right, so she's a nurse theorist. She's used in about 57% of the magnet hospitals in the United States. Okay, you need a theory actually when you're a magnet. Okay, so some people don't know that, but her theory is used most. It's used around the world, okay? She's got 4 key elements of her theory. I've actually became a Caritas coach, so I studied this for about 6 months, and my doctorate is actually in her work, okay? So didn't just read an article and sharing it with you, like I've studied this, okay? So these are the Caritas processes that she talks about as nurses. If we incorporate into our practice, our profession, it helps us with the why, okay? So let's go through these. We'll go through them pretty quickly. The first one is to practice loving kindness and equanimity towards yourself and others. Why do you think this is the first thing that she says as nurses we need to embrace? Practicing loving kindness to self. Any thoughts on that?
You can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other
That's
people.
right. Right. If you can't take care of yourself, if you don't care for yourself, it's really hard to give to other people. If your cup is empty, it's hard to give water to someone else, right? So that's what happens in nursing. We become it can be very taxing, all right? So we've got to make sure our cup's full. So that's through, I don't know, meditation, whatever it is, running, walks, taking vacations, a glass of wine, whatever it takes to be able to replenish, okay? Number 1 rule, all of our nurses need to do that too. They need to take time for themselves, okay? Second one is to be authentically present. When we talk about hourly rounding, right? When we're in a patient's room, are we talking to the patient and looking at them, or are we busy charting and asking questions and really not being authentically present? So what does authentic presence look like? What does that mean to you when we say authentic presence? How would we want our nurses, and how are you in a patient's room to show that you're engaged? And what does engaged look like? How do I know that you're engaged? Eye contact. What else?
Active listening.
Listening, active listening, right? Shaking your head, right? Leaning, turning towards someone versus trying to talk to them in their back, okay? That's important. That means something to a patient, okay? They have a better connection. They feel like they're listening. You create trust that way, okay? Cultivating your own spiritual practice and deepening your own self-awareness, really important for you to know how you're showing up every day. It's the emperor's clothes without his clothes on, right? He has no idea because he has no self-reflection. So we need to know how we're showing up, how we come across, what people's perception is, okay? And however you do that, whether you've got a friend to tell you or your significant other, or you go and say, this worked for me today or didn't work for me today, really important that we have self-awareness in how we show up, all right? To develop a sustaining and helping, trusting, authentic, and caring relationship. She said this is really important as a nurse, somebody who's caring for another human being. When we do hourly rounding, this is what we create, right? So studies show that frequency and consistency of a patient interaction between a nurse and a patient, or a caregiver and a patient, increases trust, right? Decreases anxiety, okay? So we create that authentic caring relationship through our hourly rounding because it's authentic and it's purposeful, okay? So we're connecting the dots here. Being present to support the expression of positive and negative feelings, really important that we don't judge. We have a very diverse, culturally different population here right outside of the city, okay? Versus maybe a little country hospital someplace else. We have a lot of different things that are happening here than other places. No judgment, right? Really important for our nurses to understand that we meet people where they're at, we accept their positive and their negative feelings, and there is no judgment in that, okay? Creative use of self ways and all ways of doing as part of the caring process. What she means here is that we are here for the mind, body, and soul. So we're not just here to give them medicine and take them to test and tell them, their diagnosis. We're here to hold their hand. We're here to listen. We're here to sit beside them. Okay, we're here for so many other things that can be therapeutic for that patient versus than just treat and Okay, really important for us to remember that. And as we do our hourly rounding, we're showing that. Engage in genuine teaching and learning. So I don't know about you, but I've always been a teacher as a nurse. Still teaching nurses, right? Love to teach our patients. Talking to our patients about medications. Why are you taking this new medicine? What is the side effect of this new medication, okay? People need to know what's going on with their health care, okay? It's our responsibility as nurses to do that. So when we're doing our hourly rounding, that's our why, right? I'm doing this, I'm teaching you this because I know that that's gonna help you understand your health condition, all right? Creating a healing environment. How do we create a healing environment?
Comfort,
Comfort, temperature, yeah. What else?
Quiet.
Quiet, yeah, quiet at night. So when we look at our surveys, right, the questions are, was it quiet at night for you, right? Were you treated with courtesy and respect? That goes back to all of this, the trusting, right? These are important to patients. That's why these behaviors are really interchangeable when we talk about our rounds. All right, assisting with basic needs and caring consciousness of touch. Watson, the nurse theorist, says this is one of the most caring things that you can do for another human being. Think about it. One day you're able to go to the bathroom yourself, and the next day you can't, and you need help. Can you imagine how that feels as a patient, right? And we can choose to take someone to the bathroom, or we can choose not to take them to the bathroom. We can choose to change somebody who's incontinent, or we can choose not to do that, okay? So when we care for someone's basic needs, there's not a more caring thing that you can do. And that's part of our hourly rounds, right? Take them to the bathroom, change them, reposition them, all right? Opening, attending to spirituals and mysteries of the unknown, allowing for a miracle. Not every patient that comes here leaves healed, right? Some people leave with really bad diagnoses. And we want to support their journey in believing that there could be a miracle or that there could be something else for them. We would never want to understate that or not agree, right? We let them, right? We support that. All right, so these are the Caritas processes. These are behaviors that we as professionals, nurses, should be adapting. And as we adapt these behaviors into our practice, our patients feel them, okay? So we can get a little away from this. I don't know about you, but I've been a nurse for 35 years and I've had ebbs and flows in my career. And you have to constantly reconnect back to your purpose, okay? So this was the purpose this was the second amazing grace in that video. This right here. This is where you feel it, okay? All right, the other core key element of her theory is caring moments. And so when you're doing your hourly rounds, and your nurses are doing their hourly rounds, this is important for them to understand that they're making a difference in someone's life. This is their opportunity to have a transpersonal caring moment. And this is where two people come together with their own unique histories and they create this memorable moment, okay? So you can think of many caring moments that I'm sure that you've had in your experience. When you've had a caring moment, how did that make you feel?
Humble.
Yeah, right? And it's inspiring, right? We were just in an interview a couple days ago and somebody shared that she was a security person sitting at the desk. Somebody came in who was incontinent. She took this person to the bathroom, cleaned her up, and got her different clothes so she could have some dignity. That's a caring moment, right? That moved me when I heard that, and it moved her, okay? Those are things that transpose into your life. You don't forget about those things, right? It makes you better, and it makes them better too. So really important that we step into caring moments. Okay, so when we talk about hourly rounding, that's a tactic. That's the what. That video, that was the what. That was the first. Sing the song, he sang the song. Do your hourly rounding, gain potty position possession. You're expected to do it. That's what you do, right? It's tactic, it lines our goals, it defines accountability. So if your nurses aren't doing this, you can hold them accountable, right? So this is what you expect them to do, all right? This piece here is what we just talked about. Being authentically present, accepting positive and negative feelings, right? Taking care of yourself so you can take care of other people. These are things that I can't make you do. You have to do, it has to come from within, okay? This is where we want our nurses to be. They already know how to do this. You all know how to do hourly rounding, right? You've done this, what, 30, I don't know how long you've been nurses, but I've been doing it for 35 years, right? We already know what we're supposed to do. The reason that we have to keep doing the training is because we're missing this piece right here, the why. What you will find is if you can replenish remind them or refresh these tactics, but you do it, and you explain the why as a leader, right? Because it comes from the top. You have to explain the why. This is important. Then you don't have to be standing over people, and that's where you'll see the shift. And that's what we want, because you can't be watching this 24/7, right? You want them to do this when you're not in the room, okay? But you got to train them right. And you guys are going to be doing your validations for your staff, so it's really important that you understand that why, all right? So just really quick, this is a hospital that I did a couple years ago, and I think it was 2018, yep. This was our pre-training that we're doing right now. It was 2 hours of it actually, but that was the pre-training. This was the post-training. We're the only hospital that moved up that significantly, okay? And we sustained it for 18 months, and then I wasn't there anymore, so I don't know what else happened. But it took no extra effort. It was just really explaining the why, all right? So why do we care? Well, because we're down here. This is our overall average. We're in the 11th percentile when it comes to our care experience. I have to tell you, I've never been in another hospital that low. So we got work to do. And I think it's because of the why. We know what we're supposed to do. We need the why. All right? So we're hoping to see that improve as we do this training. The other issues, we have a lot of issues with our HAPIs. Significant amount of HAPIs. I'm very concerned about that. When we do our hourly rounding, are we checking? We're supposed to, right? Pain potty position, repositioning, checking, right? So we're hoping to see that improve too. Our falls, and we probably should add that in here. We have a significant amount of falls, all right? People are getting hurt on our watch more than they should. And that's because we're not really hardwiring these hourly rounds, okay? So this is why this is really important. And you as leaders need to be able to drive this and influence your staff, all right? All right, any questions for me? Did you raise your hand or did you scratch? Okay. Sold! All right, thanks guys. Have a good one. Woo-hoo.